Monday, August 27th at 5:31 p.m. At this time, I'd like to ask Pastor Norris from Trinity Lutheran Church to please give us the invocation. If all would please stand.
Let us pray. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, and his mercies endure forever. O Lord, who enlightens and Lord of wisdom, we pray that you will bless this meeting tonight, and we ask for your wisdom on these men and women as they make some tough decisions in this meeting. Help the council and those gathered here this evening to carefully consider the relevant information that has been gathered. May other officials and residents sharing information give this council pertinent and accurate information so everyone clearly understands. Guide all involved with productive discussion that will broaden the perspective of that being discussed. We pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And if I can ask Chief Snyder to please lead us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Mayor Charles.
Here.
Councilmember Royce.
Here.
Councilmember Hayes.
Here.
Councilmember Sapp.
Here.
Councilmember Eberhardt.
Here. Thank you. And just some comments, some general comments is Jose Becerra has been chosen as Office of the Year for Highlands South Florida College. And we're very proud of him to do that. So go ahead, Chief. You want to say a few more comments?
Officer Becerra was chosen over all other nominees and presented this award this past week at a banquet. We just want to say thank you for all that he does for the town. He's an outstanding officer.
Yep. Thank you. And then on the table out there, you'll see an orange form. And what this is we have software that the county also uses for emergency communications. It's called Everbridge is the software. And we're encouraging everybody who's on town water and even beyond that to sign up. You can put in your cell phone so you can be texted if there is a if there is a water main break. You'll get a message if you sign up. It can be a voicemail, but we're finding some of those are going to spam and they're not getting picked up. So the best is you can elect a text and it'll text you. If it's a language, if you hold the finger on the text, it can convert to Spanish or any other language. So just asking, there's a QR code. There's it's both English and Spanish. Take some extra copies for your neighbors, just asking people to sign up. And initially, of course, we're going to use it for any water main breaks or boil water, but then the plan is we can use it for hurricanes beyond emergency road closures and things like that. So that's that communication. It'll also be going out with water bills. We're trying to get the message out as broadly as we can so that we can get people to sign up. Yesterday I had the privilege of getting a tour of the sewer plant. We're 10 days away, 1 to 2 weeks away from final sign off in that. A lot of small punch lists are still being done, very impressive. And then we can later talk about maybe late September, a ribbon cutting ceremony or something like that. But I wanted to thank Brandon and the team for the hospitality to myself to tour the headworks and everything there. Recent challenges, though, with these storms that we're having is that we've had a combination of outages and spikes causing the SCADA issues. They have to constantly be over there resetting and that. No issues to our operations, but it's just another thing that the staff has to deal with. Brandon's been kind of babysitting the midnight shift in quite a bit, so I just want to say thanks to all of the wastewater employees for what they're going through, not just on a day-to-day, but also with the bad storms that we've been having and the enormous amount of lightning strikes. And if anybody's gone over to Lake June Park, the guys are just doing an incredible job getting that between signage. We now have volleyball. There's volleyball set up over between the football field and the baseball field, so anybody wants recreation volleyball, that's now set up. The YMCA should be starting their practices this week for soccer. They typically play up in Sebring, and they've been splitting the Lake Placid people to play in Lake June Park. So there's a lot of pride taking place in trying to get the parks back up to the condition they can be with the limited resources that we have. And all throughout the town. So I would just ask everybody, when you see a park and when you see a town employee, you can recognize by the truck, by the emblem on the side, by their name, is to thank them for the job they're doing. They're just so proud of, with the limited resources that we have, trying to get, our town and the parks and the facilities up to the condition that they need to be. So moving on, I have one request to speak on a non-agenda item, and that's Jack Comley.
Jack Comley, 607 Sunset Point Drive. The last time I talked to the police chief, he had indicated that the project seemed to be moving ahead of schedule and could possibly be done end of October or thereabouts. My question is, first of all, is that still your understanding?
Yeah, that's still the plan. I actually spoke with the site manager, and he still intends to have us in before Halloween.
Okay. The one other question I have then is the water and sewer lines that are going to service the police station that have to run across Route 27. What is the status of them as far as, I know it was taken out of the police station budget, and I believe it was put into the utility department to handle that. Has that been put out for bids, or what is it?
That's in the process of being done. It all went out to bid already, and the funds are coming from utilities for the police station.
Okay, you said it's in the process of being done, meaning they've actually started work, or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, you can see when you leave the blue pipes out here.
Yep.
Yeah, the materials are out there, and they've been working on that. And that's not just to service the police department for sewer and water, but also the town hall. So at this time, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda, consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion. We have 2 seconds. Any comments from the dais? Out to the audience? Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt? Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Got a little technical difficulty up here. Oh.
Okay. I was just looking for it, okay. How did, she must have an old one.
Okay, we have no presentation, so we'll move on to public hearings. The resolution 2026-10 non-ad valorem tax roll. And I'm really excited to see so many people here to talk about the non-ad valorem for the garbage. The short version is it's the same rate for the garbage, $290. It's not going up, but I appreciate everybody's, coming to share in our excitement on this resolution. So if I can flip to it so I can read the resolution into the record. Resolution 2026-10, the Lake Placid Town Council establishing a tentative assessment rate in connection with non-ad valorem assessments for residential solid waste. And I think at this point, I think Chief's going to brief us on it.
Basically, this is just the ad valorem for our our solid waste collection.
Garbage.
Yes, solid waste garbage collection. Very straightforward, pretty simple.
I move to approve Resolution 2026-10, adopting a non-ad valorem assessment.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments from the dais? Seeing none, out to the audience. Bring it back. Eva, please take the roll.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to the next item is the town administrator appointment, mayor's recommendation. I guess our screens aren't working, right?
Only yours right now.
That's okay. I can go from paper.
Maybe that bumped off.
I'll go from paper. That's fine. Some technical. That's fine. It came back. So, and this one, as everybody knows, is our town administrator resigned the middle, June 15th, I think it was. And so pursuant to our town charter, the administrator is appointed by the mayor and the consent with the town council. Interesting is that town charter actually calls it a town supervisor. So we'll just interchange the word as we use it today as a town administrator. So following the resignation of the former town administrator, the town conducted interviews with qualified candidates. The town administrator position description, we had it in the package, but just the brief. Core competencies essential to the role is budget development, financial management and internal controls, procurement compliance and grant administration, cross-departmental operational leadership, project management, contract oversight, and process improvement, ability to interpret laws, regulation, contracts, and financial records. Can you scroll, Eva, or?
Yeah. Where are you at? Where are you? Where'd you leave off?
Yeah, it's just kind of going down some of the key there. Keep going. That way we can stay with it. So most important is currently our operational needs are improving financial oversight, strengthening internal controls, modernizing a lot of our administrative processes, contract administration, et cetera. So we received 23 candidates that applied for the position, and we narrowed it down to 2 candidates to interview. And I want to thank both candidates for their professionalism and also town council members for their time to interview the candidates. So the town council members and myself separately all interviewed the 2 candidates. I also want to thank Chief Snyder, who has filled in as our interim town administrator during this transition. Chief has balanced both the roles and helped maintain the continuity within the police department, and we appreciate your willingness to take on the job and the extra duty that you did and the extra hours that you've put in. After reviewing the qualifications and evaluation, need to answer that. It could be the lotto. So after looking at the qualifications, doing the interviews, and evaluating the town's operational needs, I'm recommending the appointment of Jordan Fairfield as the town administrator. Tonight, I respectfully ask for the town council to consent to this appointment.
Madam Member, I have a couple of questions about process. If the council consents tonight, have you already negotiated with Mr. Fairfield, or when do we see the terms of his contract? Or when do we approve or consider the terms of his contract?
So the September meeting, we were going to bring a contract and the new resolution that, and thank you for bringing that up because we have it in there. So the plan is at the September meeting to bring the revised 2025-29 resolution, which delegates the mayor duties to the town administrator. Been working with the town attorney on that. And then second, to bring a town contract, a town administrator contract, and working with Mike on that. What we're looking at is what's very common, and I talked to other mayors at the Mayor League of Cities too, is a 2 to 3 year contract with extensions and that. So that's what we're going to look at. Is it will be different than the prior contract that was put in place. It will also have town attorney review, and we will bring that for recommendation to the September meeting. And this one, it's the recommendation of this candidate. And then, Eva, can you scroll up just a little? At $105,000 pay with a, no, go, it's up in the, right there. So the fiscal impact here would be to offer the position at $105,000 and at a 6-month interval do an evaluation to see if a fiscal year increase. And then the contract will also say a 12-month evaluation and then an evaluation every year after that.
I guess and I had a very good conversation. Mr. Fairfield had a very good conversation with the chief. I just think that it's two different circumstances, and I just, at least for me, other conditions within the contract or other clauses or addendums to the contract will be very important to me to make sure that we start off on the right foot. And if we consent tonight to the appointment, is it a done deal, or is that just the consent to enter into negotiation, and only when the contract is finalized will the employment be finalized or determined?
That is generally the procedure, Councilman Royce. If you do have specific terms that you would like to see in that contract, having that information tonight would be helpful. The mayor has the authority to appoint with the consent. It's much like your federal model. And then we would look at a contract. The contract, in my view, would be the base contract that Koji did for the previous town administrator without the political or the vote criteria there. There would need to be some type of severance. The severance may not be as great, but if there's specific terms, I think we can get some of that on the record tonight would be helpful so we can negotiate that. The resolution as well, started drafting that. That is going to be much narrower as far as authority. The mayor will remain the CEO, CFO. Only that authority is delegated either by the mayor or town council. And so we're trying to narrow that as well. It created some issues, the previous resolution, in its application.
And I understand, and obviously part of it is I would like to see the severance clauses be different than what they did previously. And I have spoke with the town attorney about one concern I have. I just want to make sure that that's addressed in the contract and we understand from an HR issue how we would go forward given that situation.
In my recommendation, as this comes up in many organizations, that you would enter into a conflict management protocol, and it would be a document that would be executed by the town administrator to manage those issues. Full disclosure, manage those issues, and have protocols to address those issues.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a consent motion? So I guess there's no support of my recommendation. So then, Mr. Attorney, we go back out to the
I guess you could provide a little bit of history. You've gone out for
23.
23.
23.
That's what you would do.
Okay. Okay.
Would it help for council if I rescinded my application?
That's a tough one. The mayor has to work with whoever the administrator is. So it's your recommendation with our consent. What do you all think?
I think, speaking for myself, I interviewed with an open mind, and both candidates bring a lot to the table, but they bring different talents. And I was impressed with Jordan, and I've been impressed with Mark, and I'm comfortable with the job he's done over the last few months. And it was a toss-up, but I think Mark's done a good job, and I hate to see you pull your name from the choice of people here. But we interviewed, but had really no say in the matter. We can't communicate unless we're in a meeting. So we're all kind of hamstrung, and we're all sitting up here. The first time we really talked about it, and been able to talk about it, and it's kind of strange talking about it openly in front of everyone. I think we're all kind of thinking the same thing right now. I haven't spoken to them, but by the lack of consent.
And I felt the same. It's, both of them are strong, but where we are, I've been, 4.5 months now as the town mayor. And a lot of you know the hours I'm working, 7 days a week. And we have a lot of broken processes. We have opportunity for process improvement. We have a lot of internal control issues. The teams are just making such great headways with trying to find cost reductions. We don't have, unlimited budgets, so we've got people carrying 2 type of jobs, versus being able to add headcount in that. And I just see with what I've seen for the last 4.5 months that the opportunity for change, I want to change, agent, somebody that's worked across different lines versus, appreciate what Mark's done a lot. Mark's got, 27 years, 28 years now, right, with the town, all in, kind of one area, the police department. And I feel somebody with a broader background of where we are right now and what we need to do is very important. So I respect the town council's opinions. But again, I've been working, you guys know, 10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and there's a lot of different areas that we need to improve with technology, what we can do. It's not just headcount, it's our processes, it's our internal control, it's our purchasing processes that we've seen. That we have a lot of, if you will, charter and ordinances and somewhat resolutions, but we don't really have written procedures and processes in place, and that's what we really need in all of our areas. So, and that's why I recommended somebody that has not been working in the town their whole career, but somebody who can come in with, maybe a broader mindset of how other areas do, somebody with technology, and that's my recommendation.
May I suggest, as a compromise, considering the other candidate has a full-time construction company, it's not like his bread and butter depends on this. So would it be possible to do a 6-month trial period? So would it be possible, because he has a full-time occupation, would it be possible to do a 6-month trial period?
With which candidate?
No, with the new person.
Gotcha.
With George. So That's what this is recommending, right? A formal evaluation at 6 months and then one at the year. And typically, it's at the end of the first year is when you determine, is it going to continue or not? You're saying after 6 months?
Yeah, because I saw the 6 months in here, but then I saw going to a contract for a 3-year contract. So I would say rather than lock into a 3-year contract, stop at the 6 months and see how things are working.
A 6-month contract?
No, a 6-month probationary.
I think what, if I may, I think what you're saying is take the appointment, consent to the appointment for 6 months without a contract. It would be the appointment under the charter. There's not a contract necessity required. There are some other areas we have to cover. If the candidate is willing to accept that, then that's something the candidate can comment on here this evening, and then we can do a 6-month evaluation, and mayor can report, council members can report, and then enter into a contract thereafter. That is possible. I mean, that's
Other
within your
comments?
authority.
Seeing none? Okay, any more comments from the dais?
Do we need to go ahead and put the issues, go out to bid? We're going to go out to bid again? HR, is that where we're going?
I think it needs to be.
Yes.
If this council is not supporting what this mayor's recommending, for reasons I still am not clear, I guess then we just, that's what the charter says, the mayor's recommendation, the council's consent. If the council doesn't consent, then we just need to go back out. And we'll just kind of keep limping along like we are.
I hate putting you on the spot in front of everybody, but is there a reason? Has the current temporary manager done something that's a problem? I think we have someone who's experienced in a lot of different departments within the town in the past, and if he accepts the job, if it does go that way, he's in a position to evaluate and hire another police chief. It'll give us time to, someone with experience, put a good person in that position along the way. I was impressed with both candidates, but seeing what Mark's done over the last few months, I've been impressed from my position. I don't know what else we'll get, or having to go through this again, maybe just another waste of time. But I like what I've seen over the last few months, and I do not like the idea of having another police chief as town manager with our past experiences, from my perspective. So it's hard for me to say that, but I've been happy with what I've seen.
So you're saying you don't like the idea of having a chief of police as another town? Is that what you just said?
In past experience, yes. We had, in the past, 5 years ago when I was on, I felt like we had 2 police chiefs, and it was frustrating. We had a town manager who set up cameras all over town, and he's not a bad guy, but he was constantly trying to catch people instead of manage people, I felt. And I don't think we have that with Mark. I'm very comfortable with Mark, and I think he would do a fine job. Believe me, the police chief as town manager is the last person I'm looking for generally. So it's a big step for me to say that, but I'm happy and comfortable with what I've seen so far with Mark.
And I appreciate Mark, and I appreciate the job that he's done. As you know, I've carried a lot on the finance side. That's where, Mark may know budgets, but Mark isn't complete knowledgeable about internal controls, about processes. Mark, everything I've asked him to do, he'll do. A few things, it's like had to keep following up. Where are we on that? But recognizing, he's carrying 2 jobs, but he hasn't really been carrying 2 jobs because in the work that I'm doing, I'm carrying a lot of it. And so what I'm looking for again is somebody who has beyond just a silo of police, right? Now,
Yes.
Mark was a meter reader. He told me early on that he was a meter reader. And he didn't put it on his resume, but, he had some experience there. But again, I guess until you've lived in the finance area with internal controls, I mean, I don't want to start talking about the things that we're uncovering, right? With bids or not bids, but work that violates our $10,000 policy and money that we spent to contractors that was way over. So there's a lot of internal control items that we're finally getting the processes in place of this is the discipline you need. You need to go out to bid if it's over 10,000. If it's between 5 and 10,000, you need to get 3 cost estimates. And there's just different examples of things that we're able to save this town some good money. When you have people who have the broader background than just the, in the police department. And I'm going to continue to stand firm on, and again, my experience and why it was voted in, these are the type, we haven't, in a lot of cases, recruited the people with the right skills to do some of these jobs. And some of the people, move on, and some we're still trying to broaden on how important end-to-end processes are and the waste that this town is incurring or the inefficient of the processes that we have. So you're right. Everything I've asked Mark to do, it's got done. There's a few open items that he needs to get done, and he knows that, and I've had to follow up. I respect him as an individual. I respect him for stepping up and helping. I had just said from the beginning that I feel that the ideal person for a town administrator is somebody with broader experience, not silo experience. So, but if you all are not feeling that Jordan is the candidate, then we're just going to need to go back out and re-advertise the job.
And what are your thoughts on a 6-month trial basis for the other person?
I think that the mayor is selling Chief Snyder short. I think you're not realizing the depth of his knowledge, and I would hope that he would be your choice, although I had a feeling it would not be, because Mr. Fairfield is much more in your wheelhouse, because where you came out of before you came to Lake Placid, you came out of big money, big dollars, federal spending, federal oversight, and you're comfortable with that. That's your comfort zone, and I applaud you for that. That's your history. And I have no doubt that you would go for Mr. Fairfield because that's his history. But that is not Lake Placid. That's not the history of Lake Placid. And although I had to make a chart, I have notes on my notes up here because I found Mr. Fairfield to be very good. However, what I see when I actually, put him down, modernizing administrative processes is wonderful. But Mark Snyder said, as needed, and Mr. Fairfield says he needs 90 days to figure out what even is needed. And we can't modernize our processes over our people. Our people have to be able to enact our processes. It's going to take anybody that comes straight into Lake Placid, although I know he has born and raised in Sebring, but he's been working for the federal government in Austin, Texas, and these $687 million budgets to come to the town administrator of Lake Placid, to ride with all the departments to find out what it's all about. That's a tremendous learning curve. We don't have time for that much learning curve. We already have a very knowledgeable person in place that's doing the job, and you appreciate the job that he's doing. How much do you appreciate it? Do you appreciate it enough to award him the contract that I think he truly deserves? And I think, although, again, I respect your qualifications and I respect Mr. Fairfield's qualifications, I just think that being a servant leader works better in this community rather than being a leader from out front. And I think some of the things that you mentioned, the financial oversight and the internal controls, I believe we have people in place that can handle that if they're allowed to do so. And so I don't have near the concern with that. And, I know you're not big in the law enforcement field, but I am, and that's my wheelhouse. And we know a lot about scams and frauds and how people take money and the financial controls and internal controls, and we really do know a lot about that in our business. So I just feel like our Mark Snyder is the man for the job. He's doing the job now, and I think he will continue to do a fantastic job. And that's just, I just think he's a much better fit for Lake Placid.
In the time that I've sat in this chair, I've come to realize something very important. The mayor and the town administrator have to work together. It's an integral part of that. And the mayor and I had a conversation today about this, and it's like I told her, even if I go back to chief of police, I am happy. Okay, I chose to apply for this to try and move the town forward. I feel like what this is doing right now is, again, driving a wedge in our town, and that's not what I intended at all. Not by any means, okay? So with that in mind, I would like to go ahead and formally rescind my application for the town administrator job. I have read Jordan's resume. I think that he would do good for our town. I think that he would be good in the position.
I'm sorry, Mark, that's still not going to change my decision.
Mr. Royce is quiet.
He spoke up. First time ever.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes, to get us off dead center, as long as you are willing to, pull back your application. But that also means we would we wouldn't have to look for a brand-new chief. There's an advantage to that. So, and the mayor has to work with a person. So if that's what the mayor wants, okay.
So is that a consent motion? Is there a second?
Oh, pardon. Okay, I need to read this, or can you just into the record?
That's fine. Mm-hmm.
You want me to read it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So where am I at here? Gotta scroll down.
No, right there.
Oh, okay. So consent motion, I move to consent to the mayor's appointment of Justin Jordan Fairfield as town administrator for the town of Lake Placid.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We do not, so it fails for the lack of a second.
Hearing some of this in the flavor of what Mark had to say, would the town council consent to an interim, much like Mark served? He had the opportunity. I have seen the mayor work in the hours she's worked and the effort she's put in. And in all frankness, it's a lot. It is. I come from large organizations, and I don't know how she's kept up with it. I think every staff member would say that. Maybe it's an interim if the candidate that's remaining would consider that. I don't know. Because you could do that. You could have done that to begin with and just hired somebody from the outside and put them as interim and roll with that. So maybe it's a test period and see what that happens. It adds some labor, it adds some help. It puts the chief back in the police department as being chief. He's probably itching to get back there. So maybe that's an idea. I don't know. I don't like to step into the policy debate, but maybe get that.
Which was exactly my first proposal, and then it was dead silence.
Okay.
So
How effective would one be in an interim capacity, we're going to take 6 months and remain in neutral. Our town needs to move forward. I don't think that's the place where we need to be.
And I think it would be awkward to ask somebody to be an interim, maybe they're interested, as you continue to recruit for the permanent.
I don't think that's fair at all.
No, my intention was 6 months, like a probationary.
I was responding to what Mike had said.
That's true, but it's just like the chief.
I'm sorry.
Just like the chief had to do. He was interim in police chief in interim and applied for the job, but he's here. But it's just an idea. I just know there's a lot of work between now and December that needs to be done. And just processes what we're seeing so we can do a much better job and things. But we can just go out and see what other candidates will come up.
So if we, obviously, we appear to need to go out once again for people to put in their resumes. Who's going to act in the interim town administrator position during this time? Are you going to keep Mark in that position, knowing that he's already been passed over once for this? You're going to ask him to serve as that interim until you come up with somebody else?
I don't think that's what you were saying, Mike.
Well, that's not what I was saying, but
I know that's not what you were saying.
Councilwoman Nell Hayes has a good point. And I'll say often in these situations, when you have an internal candidate, many candidates don't apply because they think the job's going to go to the internal candidate. And this may open the window a lot more. And if Mark has formally withdrawn his name as not an applicant, not applying for the job, it may open the window for more candidates to come in. Same ones may apply, and that may help relieve that pressure because that'll be it. He can certainly serve in that interim. You can go out on the street and hire an interim by contract. There's plenty of folks that have served in this role that could probably come in and offer that help.
So he has taken his name out, but yet I still haven't gone forward with Mr. Fairfield, because I still don't think he's the right candidate. I'm sorry, very qualified. I don't think he's right for us. But again, I ask, what do we do now? He's withdrawn his application. Is Mark going to stay as interim town administrator until we go out to bid again? Or is that position just going to be open at this point and Mark goes back as police chief and the position just stays open? Somebody's got to cover that, don't you think? Mm-hmm. So are we going to ask him then to, we appreciate all you've done, very good. We're not going to do anything about appreciate him, but we good at lip surface, we appreciate it. And, oh, by the way, you've taken your application out. Will you hang around with us for another 6 months, please? I mean, I would love to say yes. I would like to not accept the fact that he has taken the application out because I still think he's the right man for the job. However, if he now doesn't want the job and doesn't feel like he can work with the mayor cohesively, then okay, then fine. But now what do we do while we figure this out?
That's not what I was saying at all. I believe the mayor and I work together just fine. I just feel that she has made it a choice as to who she would prefer to work with. And I'm just trying to respect that. Mm-hmm. And again, I will fill any position the town needs me to fill for however long they need me to fill it. I've worked here this long. I think that you all know my dedication is to the town, and I'm trying to do what is best for the town.
Thank you.
And then I do want to clarify that when the town administrator position came open, I approached every staff member. Would you be interested in being an interim town administrator? And then knowing that the chief had applied for the Okeechobee city manager position, and I asked him, and I said, the candidate that I'm looking, the background to be the next town administrator would be somebody with finance, accounting, finance or accounting background, preferably municipality and not, and somebody that has worked in multiple departments to be able to bring the change that I believe and that I see after 4.5 months is needed for this town. And so, and I said to Mark, but it can help strengthen your resume by giving you some experience in town administrator if you're really interested in, like the Okeechobee, pursuing that. And Mark said, I'm in. I'll be glad to do that. Him and I have had and will continue to have a very good relationship. And both of us, it's nothing personal. It's how I feel as a business. And I appreciate the rundown of my bio that you gave earlier, but I worked for General Motors, and it wasn't federal contract. It was basically, it was a public company. And that's what and I've said that when I ran for this position, and I'll continue to say it, I think somebody with business background can help in a municipality. I think that there's, when people say they're different, they are not different. The only thing that's different is you use government accounting versus financial standards accounting. But to be fair, and Mark and I had that discussion, do you want to be the interim? But this is what I'm looking for the permanent. And he said yes, and then I think he got the taste of it, and after a week or two, he came and said, I'm going to put my application in. And I said, that's fine. So I just want to, we've been fair and honest all along, and we'll continue. We have had a good relationship before, during, and will continue. So I guess at this point, this council does not support the mayor's recommendation for the appointment of Jordan, both permanent, temporary, 6 months or not. I'm really disappointed to hear that. But I respect it, okay? And that's why we go through the process of a strong mayor. I make the recommendation. You all participated in the interview. It's disappointing to me. I'm not going to say that. And was hoping to get somebody on board so I could lessen the working hours I have. But I guess we'll just go back. We'll repost the job. And I guess, Mark, are you interested in continuing to balance? I'll pick up more, and you can, more of the job that you've, been doing. So I'll pick up 3/4 of the town administrator's job for my $150 a month pay, just so we're all clear, because there's a savings to the town right there. Are you willing to continue to balance
As
with
I
me
said, I
to
will
ensure
do-
the town needs?
I will do what the town needs me to
Yeah.
do. I don't know yet. I don't even know what to say to that. I will do what the town needs me to do. If the town asks me to do that, that's fine. That's what I'll do. I'll continue to do the best I can and complete whatever assignments that you give me the best that I can. That's all I can commit to. I can't tell you I'm going to be the best person out there. I don't know. I don't know what all the job entails or is going to entail in the future. So, yes, I'll do what I can.
Okay.
Next agenda item?
Other comments from the podium?
Next agenda.
Any comments from the audience?
Margaret Deer, 1504 French Street. The amount of disappointment is utterly unbelievable. I cannot believe this is not a popularity contest and you had one thing before you and one thing only. You weren't given a choice between two candidates. You were given one candidate. I cannot believe that this council could not see fit to do their job. It is the mayor's selection with the consent of council. You weren't given a choice between this or that, but you all seem to think that you are the ones that are the arbiters. Your lack of support for the mayor is absolutely baffling to me with no good reason. There's no way, if I was watching this, that I would ever come to work for this kangaroo court. Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you all. for the council and the audience, and also to Mark and Jordan. Okay, the next item up is the Lake June Park Pickleball Complex. And I see we have a lot of people here tonight, and my guess is we have a lot for, a lot against, and I don't know if there's anybody in between. So I think we have I think to the council first on this topic, please, we're not taking any comments yet. We have to go through the right protocol of the agenda item and everything. So this is just a question to the council. And there is a resolution, and it's Resolution 2025-18 that was signed by the mayor last year, adopting Robert's rules for meetings. And I think this might apply to tonight because we have so many people, and I know there's been so many people that have asked to speak. And so for the sake of time, so that we're not here till midnight like we've been in the past, right? And, you know, even if it's 20 people want to speak 3 minutes, 40 people, et cetera, in the resolution is a section said specific time. The mayor, town council, by majority vote, may designate a specific period of time for public comment. Unless otherwise designated, public comment by writing or verbal during a meeting ends when the question is called to vote. And so I guess the question to council is, seeing the large amount of attendance that I guess was not for the sanitation resolution, do we want to set a specific time? And maybe it's 30 minutes for those for, 30 minutes for those against, or if you want to just keep it open for everybody who wants to speak for 3 minutes. So it's the council, how do we want to, in order to kind of contain the time so that we don't go really late tonight?
I think a lot will end up saying the same thing, either for or against. I think once we have a discussion, we can call it a vote. Once we feel like everyone said their piece and they start repeating themselves. Shouldn't take long to do that. There's not a whole lot to say about it, one way or the other.
And with the protocol, do we have to read through all of this, or can we cut to a motion and then discussion?
Well, I think the chief was going to kind of go through some of the highlights on that, but, so let's kind of first is, just for clarification, Councilmember Sapp, are you saying just let everybody say their part and then go to it, or?
I'm happy to make the motion to approve this, even though we've been kicking it down the road for a while, but just for discussion, to give us
Okay.
something to work with. Don't get ahead of yourselves yet. Don't get ahead of yourselves.
And you know what?
Yeah.
The one thing we're going to have is respect, right? We're not going to have clapping. We're not going to have cheering. We're going to have respect. And when we get to the point to calling people up, we're not going to come sitting in the front row. We're going to sit in our seats and wait until you're called on, please.
And this is for discussion. Still have other votes to make, and I'm not even sure I'm going to vote for it, but I will move to approve this for discussion.
I'll second to-
Approve what? Which?
The bid not to exceed $610,000 originally. The bid came in at, what, $643 or something
Yes.
like that, to approve that bid and go forward with this project. Now, if someone will second it, then we'll have discussion and talk about timeframes and if this will actually work, and I may vote no for it, but for now, for discussion, let's start with that.
I'll second it for discussion. I think we have to do that in order to be able to do all of the, to allow people to speak.
That's okay, but can I clarify, is your motion to accept the bid?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying that, yes.
Yeah, I just want to,
Whatever it takes to go forward with what is on this piece of paper, which is, I guess, the first choice on here either way. But yes, let's accept the bid and get on with this, and then we'll ask the current town manager if we can meet all the time constraints we have on this to get it done by, what is it, April of 2027? if we can't meet the deadlines to receive the grants, then it's a moot point. So,
The deadline for this is much sooner than that, actually. We would need to have most of this completed before the end of January to be able to meet all deadlines for this project. It goes beyond this just exceeding our not to exceed base bid. When I looked at this, the minimum warranty we requested was 2 years. We were given a 1-year warranty. There was no bid security. As I looked through the actual bid documents, and again, I went through this and scored it myself as well. But as going through the bid documents, we have the affidavit for compliance, which was completed by them. We have a notarization on the affidavit of compliance, but absolutely no signature from the person that was supposed to be signing these documents. So we have the notarization, but no actual signature. It means that the person didn't actually sign it with the notary there, as is required by law, to make this legal and binding as documents. As you go through this, there's a lot of information missing from this packet that was supposed to be included in it, to include questions that we as a town prior to going out to bid had agreed to put into this. So it is very concerning to me that we have a company putting forth a bid to build these for us that can't even get the packet correct and fill the paperwork out correctly, and we're expecting them on a very tight schedule. This will make this a very tight schedule, this project. If we choose to undertake it, there will be no time for delays. If there are delays, we will roll past the due dates for our grants. If we roll past those due dates, while I understand that we have put liquidated damages in our contract, I guarantee you we will go to litigation on this, and we'll spend an equal amount, if not more, in legal fees on this. I've looked at this from all different angles. I am neither for pickleball nor against pickleball. My concern is for the town at this point. Are we going to be able to finish this project in time with the contractor who has bid? And I'm very concerned that we will not be able to do that. I also look at the price that's listed in here at the $643,335. I have spent a lot of time poring over the documents associated with this, and the most concerning one that I've come up with is our contract with Kimley Horn, who's our engineer. As I've gone through our contract with Kimley Horn, I've discovered some very concerning issues in this. First of all, generally the contract or the engineer will manage your project through construction. Kimley Horn has put in their contract services not included in the Kimley Horn, and construction management is one of the things not included in this. We are going to have to expend even more money to assign an additional construction manager to this project. We also have additional traffic studies that are going to have to go on top of this that are not calculated into this. We have to pay a minimum of $2,500 additionally for an additional traffic study to meet the county's requirements to move forward with this project. And this all has to be done before we can even start construction on this. These are some concerns that I've noted through this, and I just want to throw them out there so that the council is acting with all facts prior to proceeding with this. If council wants to move forward with this, just like anything else, I will do my best to ensure this project moves forward and is completed as quickly and efficiently as we can get it done.
Before, you may want to reconsider, we cannot legally accept that bid amount. It specifically said in the bid net documents that anything over the 610,000 limit was considered non-responsive. Now, we don't know if there were other bidders out there who might have met 615, 620, or whatever. I don't believe we can legally accept it.
Just that non-responsive over 610 was a number set by council, and we're the council. I think we can go over and above if we determine or decide to. I looked to see who made that determination, and it was by us.
Yeah, that's true, Councilman Sapp. But the bid was put on the street, 610. There was actually 15 individuals showed up at the bid, 13. Only one put in the bid, and there was an inquiry whether the town was going to accept over bids. So I think what you have as a situation here is that just relet the bid again. If the council's decision tonight is that the budget has now increased to 643,000, put the bid out on the street, set that, or however you want to set that, and let other prospective bidders go. I kind of look at it if you were going to, an owner wanted some fruit harvested, and they said, look, I'm not going to pay so much more over a box, and I said I couldn't do it for that, and then I found out the owner did indeed do that, then I'd be kind of butt burned about that, to say the least. Not to mention, it is public money, so it is held in trust, and you're holding it for it. So when I look at the case law, when I look at this, it is a material matter that really cannot be waived. How do you fix it? Set the budget higher, go out to bid. The Kimley Horn issues that the interim town administrator found, it's discerning because remember, Kimley Horn actually wanted 5,000, how much more money to prepare these bid documents? And on council's direction, and to be quite frank, the planner, Dana Rydell, did all of this work pro bono. I don't believe she billed the town for it. The subject matter expert to help put these documents together did it at a low rate. I did it pro bono. Kara Groves, she's billed for her time. So the town staff and your town employees have put a lot of effort into try to get this going. It's not a matter of against or for, but it is a matter of fairness, and I do think you have a competition issue now, at least to those individuals. Now, whether or not they have standing because other people didn't bid, that's another litigation issue, but you could reset the bid and go back out. That would be how to cure this matter.
We don't have time for a bid, so it's a moot point. We won't get our grants, can't meet the deadlines, so we've run out of time. Where does that leave us?
So if you want to amend your motion, or I'll make a motion.
Oh, we can vote, yes or no, and go on, whatever. How do you want me to amend it? What are you looking for?
So because we cannot accept the bid,
Yeah.
I would make the motion, alternate 4, that we end it right now. We don't have the time, and we don't have the town resources, and considering if we have to pay more money when we don't even know what's going to happen with the revenue, if our revenue is cut next year, we need every penny we have. So my motion is number 4, which is to, let me read it off correctly. Option 4, reject and close out the project. Motion to find the bid non-responsive, to reject the bid, and to direct staff to close out the Lake June Park Pickleball Complex project. Notify the bidder, notify RPAC and FERDAP grant agencies of the project closure, and document the closure for the project file.
Did you?
I have not rescinded mine, and I don't think I will. I'm conflicted over, we've already spent $90,000 plus, and we're looking at $30,000 over that to recapture everything. If I own a business and I've already spent $90,000 on something and I'm walking away from $500,000 of grants, it doesn't make sense over $30,000 to run. I think we should buckle down, figure those signatures are out, see what Kimberly Horn wants quickly as possible, and either make this happen or no. And we can't quite say no yet because it still might be a week or two to make all that happen. But there's just too much that's gone into this so far and too much money wasted at this point to run from it. Over $33,000, whatever the number is exactly, 33,335. I don't want to rescind my motion yet.
But again, just to clarify, your motion is
To accept
opposite what the town attorney is saying.
It's not opposite, it just goes not really against his advice. It's just
It's going against his
he wanted to
advice.
go a different route and rebid. We don't have time for that. everyone had the opportunity to do the bid, even though it was capped at 610, these people still submitted a bid, and I don't see why we couldn't accept it. There were bids sent out. That's up to you. If you flat say, no, we can't do that, then we can't do it.
Yeah, as your legal counsel, I would never say no as a matter of policy. My job is to give you the objective law. That's why I took the time to write the memorandum, to look at it. It's always an issue of fact. I'm not an adjudicator here. I'm an advisor. So I couldn't adjudicate, make a finding, this is a material waiver, and you can't, this is a material term and you can't waive it. However, based upon the case law, based upon the issues at hand, and this really goes to the town's limited ability on procurement. And I think the interim town manager can speak to those issues. What we're seeing here is a lot of processes that aren't in place, so the ball gets dropped a lot. I wouldn't ever tell you can't do that. I would just give you the advice. That's why there's a lot of options here. The town manager worked on just to give council some flexibility to try to bring this into at least some legal contours. I don't know if somebody will give us notice tomorrow that the town waived a material term and they're going out to bid and we want to step into this. I don't know. I don't think there's enough money at play from a business perspective. It's not like a multi-million-dollar contract, but you never know if somebody just wants to create some mischief.
Can we put a time on how long, if we ask for bids within 2 weeks, that gives us time to get these signed and the others to get bids to us? It's 2 weeks further down the road and closer to our deadlines. But is there a length of time you have to be open to receive bids? Can you say a week, 10 days, a month?
Based upon this, generally everybody picks 30 days. But I will say that you've had bid documents out, they've been out. The only thing you're adjusting to this bid is the budget amount. I probably need to be more clear on the responsiveness as to the waivers and things of that nature to be sure, and anybody watching this is going to be aware that this is going to be reviewed technically. So you could put a shorter time limit on that. You may not have anybody. That's certainly an option of council. I will say, and I think the town manager did comment, the staff will need a lot of support in getting this in. You need a project manager, you need an engineer, you need somebody. Brandon is tapped out. We're trying to bring that sewer plant. Everybody's tapped out. So you will need to put some extra money in for that for a budget.
And not only are they tapped out, it's the experience and the expertise. I mean, right now we've got Chief is stretched with Simcoe, even though Cool and Cobb is managing that project. Chief's the one that's managing Cool and Cobb, right? And we've got Pool and Kemp doing the sewer plant, and you've got Pannoni, and you got Brandon overseeing them. So, you know, we're going to need to also put some money in for project management because we don't have anybody to be able to then manage a $750,000 project. So it'll be both, and we don't need to go out to advertise the bid. By going to BidNet, that becomes the advertise. So we don't need to go in the paper to advertise that. We can do the shorter time frame, but we also then are going to need a budget amendment because right now our budget is $200,000 for the pickleball. You know, it's probably going to need to go to 250.
So,
At least, yes.
There's a motion on the floor. Someone needs to second it before you can even...
Excuse me, they did second.
I seconded it already.
Second that. No, we're not.
Sir,
They
as
did
par-
second
as
it.
parliamentary,
Sir.
you're,
Madam Mayor, if I might, I had after I read the packet, I had a conversation with the town attorney the other day about this, and obviously the legality of this is what has me a little concerned. I want to make sure, if I can ask, if it's okay if I ask Mr. Durham, do we have the ability to what I'm going to term cure the bid? In other words, as a sole bidder, do we have the ability to go back to the bidder and lay out, let's just call them the deficiencies in the bid and say, you know, we don't have this signature, we don't have these bond agreements. Do we have the ability to go back to them as a sole bidder and cure or prove up that bid package?
you're dealing with two different areas. Those particular areas are curable or are waiverable. It's the material terms where you're talking about price and units, essentially, is what that category, and because the price here is what created the issue.
And I think, obviously, I think the council's, I'm not disputing that you're exactly right, but I think council's intention was, obviously, wanted to send a message that we were going to try to stay within our preliminary budget. I get the feeling that there's probably several of us that are willing to expend the additional $33,000, $34,000 to finish this project and not lose the $500,000 of county and state investment into our community, that we haven't just wasted $95,000 or $100,000. I mean, to me, it's all comes down to, when I read the four options, there wasn't an option that said we go to the bidder and negotiate it, or we go to the bidder and say, oh, by the way, you violated one of them. Are you willing to reduce your bid to $610,000? So.
If the bidder was willing to reduce the bid to $610,000, that would be a material term, and they have met the bid price that the council set. That's not a waiver at all. They've come in budget. They've come into the bid. They've met the bid requirement. The other areas you raise, I think, are waivable. I wouldn't recommend you waive them. I would just recommend getting assurances that that can be done. So if the bidder comes in at that price, the bidder comes in at that price.
And I guess where I'm going, Madam Mayor, is what I'm going to call a conditional approval. I don't want us to waste the public's time arguing about the merits of whether or not we should build this project if we can't do it legally. I also think, and I don't want us to spend too much time if anything we take becomes an action that's questionable legally. If we have the ability, since we had just a sole bid, and I understand I had a conversation with Mr. Drummond about who may or may not have standing, but I mean, I wish there was a way we could do a conditional approval that was conditioned upon them coming to a certain thing and fulfilling the other obligations that we asked for in the bid. I mean, I could be very supportive of accepting, of setting a conditional acceptance.
In the condition of coming into the 610, is that what one of the conditions?
It'd be conditioned on that in curing all the deficiencies. I mean, in my understanding from conversation I had with you, and correct me if I misunderstood, I mean, some of it may just be even the language of how they bid that, and whether or not some of that overage was, why am I looking for the
change orders?
Change orders, extra. I mean, I do not want to put the town in a position that is of legal, jeopardy or whatever. But I guess after we've seen, years of duplicity and delay in this project, I'd like to see it come full circle and be completed.
Yeah. Because we didn't have a second bidder, and it's usually those second bidders that have the standing, but we did have an inquiry. We did have 13 people show up, and if it was a conditional approval, if the bidder was willing to accept the work for the $610,000, it looks like what the bidder did here was take the 5% cap of change orders and just add that to their base bid. And I even looked at the bid, and specifically they wrote 643 base bid. If they just would have left it at that 610 and let the change orders do what the change orders did, we wouldn't have any problems. So if that was their intention and council makes that approval, so be it. But right now, I'm firm that that is a material term, that is a law, that is a rule of law, but whether council chooses to, follow that or not.
Okay, Mr. Durham, I apologize.
Fine.
I'm not very bright, but if we conditionally accepted it contingent upon the bidder amending the contract to read no more than $610,000, in other words, and he took his contingency clause or payments out, then does that then take care of the material concern you have?
The bidder has then met the bid price. But we don't know that, but the bidder then has met the bid price. Now we'll have to deal with change orders, but that would be up to the project manager
To either
to deal
accept
with.
them or not accept them.
Right,
Right.
correct.
Or like most projects that entities occur, then they would have to come back to the town council and say, they would like to do this, or they'd like to do that, and are you willing to adjust your budget to do so?
Correct. And also, that would take care of the significant material term is the price in units. If you want to also discuss the warranty issues and any other small issues. The other stuff was just paperwork, it seemed. Bond, yeah, we just need the bond. I think it was a 312 versus a 310 bond. That stuff can be cured. But the material term was price and probably the warranty to some degree. So you could certainly do that.
But now be careful if they say, okay, yeah, we'll do it for 610, and then they make up the difference in change orders, or they skimp on materials. They're going to make it up because they bid the lowest they could do it for. They're not going to pad it. That was their bare bones, and they're going to make up that money. If they say 610, they're going to make it up somewhere. They have to make a profit.
I'm not trying to be argumentative,
But
change orders are a two-way street. Change orders have to be, my understanding of any change orders I've ever dealt with, they have to be accepted by the party that's party to the contract, correct?
Correct.
If someone says, I'm going to build, we'll just use this example, I'm going to build the court to the specs you laid out for 610, they may come back and say, wow, do you want a nicer set of doorknobs on your house? You don't have to say, yes, put a nicer set of doorknobs on your house. You can say no, follow the specs. Isn't that accurate, Mr.
That's
Dunn?
generally how it works, but it also works, as Councilwoman Eberhardt said too, with the change orders, price of materials and things of that nature. But, and we kept the 5% because that is fair. There could be legitimate change orders, something could happen. But it is a two-way street that then have to come back to council to approve.
So, I understand that the contractor may very well say, no, I'm not interested in that price. And so I vacillate my mind between either trying to get creative, or whether or not if there's not a long advertising window required, then we put it back out to bid for a week or 10 days, and we just go forward from there. I'm probably not willing just to accept it as it is, especially since legal counsel's told me there's some concerns there.
And let's move beyond the dollar amount. When these were scored, there were also some questions about their competency and experience. So whether, even if they came in at the exact same price point, there's a question of their ability.
Well, these are all conversations that should have been had 3 or 4 years ago, but that's,
Please.
So where does that leave us? Rebid?
So the
Give it 2
motion,
weeks.
the motion on the floor is?
Yeah, the motion has a first and a second, approve it and accept the bid.
And I can change that if I need to, or we can all vote no and walk away. I don't want to do that either.
Right. So Councilman Sapp's motion is to accept the bid at the 643 as is, 4 corners of the bid documents, and it was seconded.
That was to
So
start
you've
the
had
discussion, yes.
Right, so he's had a discussion on that, and I guess you could go out to the audience on that, or there could be an amendment to that motion. I've heard Councilman Royce come up with some other ideas and possibly an alternative that's not necessarily on the.
If we rebid, we satisfy your concerns legally.
That would remove the material issue.
Which is fine if we have time, but then we come up against the clock.
And
The town
council
manager
could put
make it
2
happen.
alternatives out there. You come back to the 610, that gets negotiated. They may or may not accept. You also authorize it to rebid, which is option 4. So you're running 2 weeks at a time, so you have more information on this.
But we can't go a month. We have to come up with something before the next meeting to approve and roll with this, because we're just out of time.
When is the next meeting?
September 14th.
figures it's the latest day in the month we can do it. Second Monday's the second Monday at 14th. Usually the earlier in the month, at least 7 out of times, right? It's too bad it falls on the worst possible time for us. Yeah, too bad.
So
Oh, that's 2 weeks.
can I, let me, if I might, Madam Mayor, let me just make sure I understand. If we were to go back out to bid, is there a legal advertising deadline, or could we say tonight, we want to go back out to bid, you all would notify, I presume, all 15 people or 15 entities that showed interest, and say, we're giving you 1 week or 10 days to submit a bid. We could even change, if we so chose, the budget, or frankly, in this bid package, do we even need to have a budget number as part of the bid?
You do not. No,
Okay.
you do not. But that's was part of it, I think, in the previous discussion.
And I think that maybe the mistake some of us made was we attached a number that we hoped would be met, and we've kind of hamstrung ourselves over a 4.5% or 5% deal because we put a number on there. And the way I look at it, the $95,000, that's gone one way or the other, whether we do this or we don't. I hate to just think it was wasted money. I would hope that that money leads to infrastructure that the citizens of our town and the greater Lake Placid area will get to enjoy. I hate to just turn our back on $500,000 of county and state funding that would provide infrastructure for our residents to take advantage of, over, as Mr. Sapp said, over $33,000 or $34,000. And so I'm just trying to figure out how, in the best legal sense, and maybe I'm looking for yours and the mayor's guidance on how, in the best legal sense, do we try to either put it back out to bid without a budget number, with all of the other conditions, and or do we try to cure the bid? I just want to make sure I get a feeling from you who you think, how that would affect someone that wanted to complain about it standing, even some member of the public or something that said, okay, let me, just challenge this legally because I don't like the idea.
Well, yeah, going out on a limb here because I like to read the law before I advise on it, but they wouldn't have standing. There needs to be a party that was going to benefit if the first bid was rejected or for whatever reason failed. Okay. And that's what we don't have here, which is ironic. What I'm hearing the town council thinking is maybe an alternative. Usually the bid goes to the lowest, most responsive bidder. The lowest bidder, and here we have one bidder. And that bidder went over what town council directed staff to put out on the street. So you have a material term that has been violated. So that's kind of put us in a box. So the council could send this back out for bidding. I think short-term bid net could be a couple of weeks. We could reach out. I don't know if we have those 13 people. Do we have those contacts? We could reach out to them, say council has adjusted the budget to whatever that is, and move forward. Or you could go back to the current bidder and give them an opportunity to reconsider their price, and would they come in at the 610?
From a legal standpoint, Mr. Durham, what gives you a greater feeling of security as far as the town's legal position?
The entire intent of public bidding is to have the lowest bid, so you're spending public money. That's what you want. You also want the bidder to be the most responsive, the most qualified, and you want the bidder to be responsible. Responsible is most qualified. Responsive, they did everything they were supposed to do out of fairness. I think what we're trying to do is come up with a solution that meets all those elements. If you go back to the original bidder here, and they come in at that price of 610, so be it. You can authorize somebody to negotiate or at least reach out to them. If you put this back out on the street, you reject, do a 2-week time frame, I think that would be plenty based upon what we know with BidNet. And contact those original bidders, and maybe they want to submit a bid. You might get 615, 620, 630. You might get different prices with that. You might get a more of a warranty. They might feel more confident that council is prepared to do this project, but they want a responsive bidder, they want a responsible bidder, and they want the lowest price possible.
So I'll just say to you, Mr. Sapp, I'm going to have a hard time voting yes on your motion just because I think after conversation with Mr. Dermott gives us some legal exposure that I don't want to do. I want to move forward. I think you can tell I want to move forward with this project. I'm just trying to find the best way for us to give it an opportunity. Though Mr. Dermott didn't directly answer my question, I think he said we'd be better off to put it back out for bid and have a bid deadline that was 4 or 5 days before our next council meeting with us to consider those bids on or about September 14th. I'm sorry, is that the date, September?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, it's on my calendar.
While
but-
you're speaking, I'm looking at a calendar here,
Yeah.
too. And 2 weeks would put it, so 2 weeks from today would put it at September 10th. It'll be tight for us to turn it around. It wouldn't be a packet going, it wouldn't be in the packet that would typically go out that night.
Right.
You know, we may have to get it out Monday during the day, but,
That's-
so timing would be 2 weeks from today is September 10th, and the Thursday, and the meeting's on the Monday, the 14th.
Good. How about if I haven't rescinded my motion yet, although it's probably not going to fly, if I changed it to start with reaching out to Legacy first and see if they would accept the 610 bid or do it for 610, and if that doesn't work after 48 hours, that triggers the process to rebid and give them 10 days at that point to rebid, the other 13 people who tried. And then it'll be super tight on the town, but I don't know that we have an option other than go that route right now, if that would work for a motion. 1 step and 2 steps.
Yeah, you could do a contingent motion and do realize that staff is the council willing to put some extra bucks so Mark can call in some help on this, because Rachel's just.
I'm going to be out of town, so it's easy for me to say yes.
I know. Maybe we could get some council members.
We have responsibilities to the town and to the grant, and we can't walk away from this right now. So if it does strap us, I don't think we have a choice in the matter. They'll scalp us on the way to our truck when we leave here if we don't come up with something before we leave this building tonight. And I don't know that we have a choice. So
You could, the council could craft a motion in that regard. You are protecting the integrity of the process. You're giving everybody a fair shot that showed up that morning, that looked at the project and decided not to bid, at least letting them know. And you're going to then have to reevaluate these documents, and it'll probably just come to you. The bids will come to you. Probably you want them in that Tuesday or Monday before, so you get them on the agenda and let council review those bids. And you might be scoring sheets yourself that evening.
well, then we can have a legitimate discussion 2
Right.
weeks from now
Right.
and not have these same complications.
Right.
So I will rescind
Hopefully.
my motion, and make the motion that we ask Legacy to do it for 610, give them till, what's today, Thursday, give them till maybe Monday to do that, and then be prepared on Monday to reach out to the other 13 people if they will not, or the 12, whatever the difference was, and just accept open bids from them before the 13th if they will do that. And then we just need a number to make a decision at that point.
In a general bid on BidNet as well. Specifically try to notify the 13 that showed up.
Right.
To
Yes.
let them know.
Exactly.
Put it on BidNet so it's open for the general public,
However that works, yes.
and reach out to negotiate with the current bidder.
You get all that, Eva?
So I understand Mr. Sapp's motion. His motion, I believe, is to ask staff to enter into a conversation with Legacy and give them till 5 p.m. on Monday, August the 31st. I think that's next Monday, correct? August the 31st, 5 p.m. on August 31st. If they do not respond in the affirmative to taking their bid to 610 or 610,000 or less, then on Tuesday, September 1st, staff will advertise a notice that we're accepting bids through September the 10th. Is that right, Madam Mayor? Is that
Whenever we do the
Thursday?
packet, whatever the packet cutoff would be, so it probably might be the 10th, that Thursday.
Yes,
Packet
I
will be done
mean,
Friday
and I
before,
understand
yeah.
we may not get in the regular packet, but,
Probably do at least 10 days.
right.
That would be the 11th.
The
and if we
1st through
do
the
it on
10th or
1st,
11th, whatever.
Okay.
And then, Mr. Sapp, I'm assuming if we went back out to bid, we would not have the restriction, the budget restriction in that bid document. We would see what bids we got at what levels.
Yes.
Okay,
And
I
if-
just want to make sure I understood your motion.
Yes, and I need a second for that, but that clears us from making this decision then to go over if we need to and not have problems legally. So,
So I will rescind my second to Mr. Sapp's first motion, and I will second his second motion.
So just a couple clarifications. Is the bid that, assuming that Legacy says no, right? So I'm looking at September 1st going out, and we can get the revised document ready for that. Is that to have a budget amount in it or no budget amount?
no budget amount,
Okay,
because we can come back and accept this 643, which is what we probably have done tonight, had we not had these complications with the bid process.
okay. Or maybe a 615 comes in.
Maybe, and
Yeah.
they might come in at 610, which would be the easiest solution to everything in the next
Okay,
couple of days.
so no bid, just a clarification, because I'm getting another bid ready to go out, okay? So no bid dollar, all the other terms stay the same?
Yes, all things being the same, yes.
Okay, and then the one thing we had, I think that.
Mayor, just to
quantify
quantify this, if we're going back out, we need to alter the term in there that says that they have to be present at the pre-bid meeting.
That was what I was just going to say. That was what I was saying. And then we would not have that pre-bid meeting requirement on a certain date. We take that off.
If they'd already been there.
Well,
Well, we can't do it anyway. I would say the flexibility to do whatever you need to do to meet the
right.
criteria.
I mean, we have to pull it out because you may get somebody who didn't bid, who didn't attend the meeting. So by not requiring it to only those people, this would be go back out again, but we will pull that pre-bid requirement meeting out. We'll pull the budget dollars out. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else in there? I think everything else will stay the same. Okay. The only other thing on Legacy is making the call to them is not only the 610, but then making sure they fill out all the complete paperwork that they were missing. There was quite and it would be the warranty, right? So it would be the 610 and change the warranty to 2 weeks, which was what our 2 years, which was our requirement. And then they did not fill out, there was a whole questionnaire. They did not fill out a lot of the paperwork. And then, like the chief said, they didn't sign the copy that they needed to sign. They got it notarized. I don't know how they notarized it without a signature, but, so there's some paperwork we'll make sure that they clean up if they do decide to do the 610.
That was my understanding of Mr. Sapp's motion, is that they would have to kind of come back to the terms.
Confirm with the requirements
Yeah.
of the,
Yeah, and it also gives them 48 hours to make that happen. That can be done online. They can do e-signatures, I think, and, well, maybe not with the.
no, it's closed, that
Yeah,
package is
they'd have to
closed
do that.
online.
If they want to do it, they can make it happen between
Yes.
now and.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Sure.
They would do it to us, that's fine.
I'm also concerned about Kimberly Horn and their open-ended inspections. That's a different issue. I'm not sure about that. We'll have to cross that bridge. I don't know if you can reach out and ask them. Do I have a second on this yet, before we keep going?
You did.
Oh, good, okay, good. Too much going on. I would ask Mark, if you're initiating this, to reach out to them and get an idea what they think it'll be. I'm sure they've done projects like this in the past, and we're talking about $5,000? Is it $1,000 a trip out here to look at it, or they're looking at $10,000 per visit? I don't know what engineers do, and having it open-ended is kind of scary from my perspective. So, might be worth just I know you can't guarantee anything, but just a quick phone call, maybe for what to expect from them if there's someone that you're dealing with there.
My concerns with going out to them to see if they'll come down to the 610 was, like I said before, then they'll make it up somewhere else. But also on the scoring sheets, there was a score of 0 to 100, 3 different scores. One was a 29. In other words, 100 is good. One score was a 29, one score was a 35.5, and the other score was a 42. And according to the rankings on the score sheets, those are considered marginal contractors. So it scares me if they come back at 100 and they still are marginal contractors. Or not 100, at 610, excuse me.
We can discuss that in 2 weeks, so.
But the way I read it, I understood is if they could say on Monday that they can come back at 610, you would consider a done deal.
If they're the marginal contractor, then we'll discuss that then. I don't know, are they the marginal contractor by your standards? I haven't looked at all that.
Yeah, it's all here in the bid review by
But
the 3 people.
I have serious concerns about who filled out those papers, about who was chosen to evaluate this contract and why were they chosen to do so, and were they qualified even to make those determinations. I have concerns about that in the first place.
And I can respond to that because this gets back to what we're saying earlier of staff having the skills, expertise, and experience. So I'm certain you're referring to Dana Riddell, right? And Dana is very qualified, and she used an engineer, and then chief is involved. We
Did she
didn't
not
pay
use
for. I mean,
her?
this is where we're trying to reduce costs. Dana did it pro bono. Mike Durham, I mean, you recall at the last time, we would have had to, Kimberly Horn says $6,500 to prepare the bid package that would have included all of this. We chose not to go that route, to continue to spend money, and that Mike got appointed. And then we involved Kara, and then we involved Dana. And then the bid package, you'll see when these bid packages come in, if we're gonna all sit up here and score them, it takes, just like you said, I'm not an engineer, it takes a degree of expertise on all of these documents, and I'm very comfortable with what she did, what Jeff did, and what Chief did. And it's interesting because all 3 didn't talk, and they were very similar.
But the engineer was her engineer, right? The engineer that she chose?
It's an engineer that she used who is very
that she
well
uses.
respected.
Okay, that she uses. To me, that's you know, not clear, not good. And I don't believe that Dana is an engineer. She's a planner. That's not an engineer. Okay, so thus my concerns.
So is it council's recommendation then that we incur costs and go hire some, this gets back to what we talked about before. You know, we don't have an engineer on staff. We don't have, call it the professionals, to the degree that it sounds like Councilwoman Hayes would want. So is council want us to then go hire people to do the scoring?
I think we have to work for this process in the next several weeks. We need to work with the staff and the folks we have. I mean, to move this process. Mayor, I think your point long-term is well taken, and I understand where you're going with that, and I agree.
I agree as well, but I think with that said, we should temper our judgment of the evaluations of the people that did it. We should just temper that, say, you know, with a grain of salt. I understand it, I see it, but I take it with a grain of salt.
I think because of the timelines, we need to take our chances. I hate to, we don't have a choice in the matter. We can score and take another month, but it won't happen. We have to make this happen now if it's going to happen. Scoring, talking about it, doesn't change the fact that let's get this done and let's roll with it.
Any other comments from the council?
No, ma'am, but I'm going to assume that now that as you're about to invite the public up, you're going to ask the public to speak to the specific motion, not to the project overall. Is that accurate, Madam Mayor?
We can do that, yes.
I would suggest that that would be what would be important and informative to the council. That
So we can also get back to if we wanted to set a specific time for the public. I mean, we can allow everybody to come up their 3 minutes, or we can say 30 minutes for, 30 minutes against. You tell me.
Personally, I
I'm a
think you ought to
layperson,
restrict it to
so-
like maybe only 2 minutes per person. And I think with the people that are going to speak in both opposition and in support of it, that each individual can, 2 minutes would be a sufficient amount for each individual. So I think that's the way to handle it. And ask them, not to, I'll leave it up to you whether or not to ask them not to just repeat each other.
No, we're going to leave it up to us, because that's what the resolution says. It's the mayor of the town council by majority vote may designate a specific period of time for public comment. So,
I'll make a motion, we limit are you looking for a motion for that?
that's what
I'll
we
make a
need.
motion that on this matter, we limit public comment to 2 minutes per person, a strict 2-minute limit.
Second that.
Have a motion, a second. Any other comments? Okay. We're going to take a vote on this one.
Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt?
Yes.
Okay, 2 minutes per person. And I think, who's keeping the time, Chief, is Captain Troutman. Okay, you've got that. And then, so what we're going to do this in a very orderly fashion, please. I'm going to ask to not be clapping and not be cheering. Let's be a respectful chamber meeting here. And I would just ask that if you raise your hand, that we'll call on you to come to the podium, and you need to identify your name and your address. I'm going to start with someone who turned in a request to speak. Is Timothy Whalen here? You are the prize winner, the first one up. Thank you.
I'm Tim Whalen from 10 Acacia Court North, across the street in Tomoka. And the past and present members of this town council should be proud of the work that you've done on this over the last 3 years to get Lake Placid to this point, to meet a very important need and constituency here in Tomoka. And so I'm impressed by the discussion that you all have had here tonight, and can skip a lot of my remarks because you got to the point where I think Councilman Sapp suggested and Councilman Sapp and Royce suggested in terms of the motion. I would just ask that you consider in your rebidding your substantial compliance clause, clause 10. It may be legal, but a right to reasonable extensions and an explanation of a right to a hearing on substantial compliance, in fairness, I think, to the bidders, should be added to your bid. You don't want to lose your opportunity to do this with draconian terms. And the timing gets to an issue now for the grants. And we're talking about 4 or 5 months to get this completed. Can staff get some assurances from the grant agencies that extensions or waivers might be considered? It would be almost a shame to lose this money or have to give this money back because of their clients. So thank you and your staff and your efforts over the years. If you're not, and so that the idea was to come to what is closest to your option 2, and that's where you've gotten to. So keep it moving forward.
Thank you. Dana, since you jumped up there, I'll call you next.
Make this quick as I can. Dana Adams, president of the Sebring Pickleball Club. I live out at Lake Josephine, 2110 Oak Beach Boulevard. Just to reiterate what's been said many times, pickleball is a great fun exercise and social interaction game. It's just a great game. Could you folks stand that came here to support the pickleball courts this evening? Thank you. And I also have here signatures from 437
Give it the chief.
residents, about 30% Lake Placid,
How many?
437, and we collected those in 5 days. Of course, we have a lot of senior citizens here. The reason we don't have youth here is there's not an opportunity for the kids to play. I did ask Scott Norlich to be here, the city manager for Sebring, and he had to leave, but the story he was going to tell was the courts at Charlie Brown. Those courts are booked every morning, every evening. The morning is mostly the senior citizens. In the evening, the average age is about 22. It's totally dominated by the kids. I was out there the other night. The courts were totally wet just after a rainstorm. Courts were full. Also now at Sunnet Lake, went over to Sunnet Lake after that. Those courts had dried off. Thunderstorms were brewing. And there are 10 courts filled with young people. So I think some people have said we just need more for the kids to do. Pickleball is for the kids to do. They don't have an opportunity because we don't have public lighted courts. And also from the club, what the club can offer, we'll get these courts built. The club will come out, we'll supply accessory items for the courts, paddle racks, squeegees, fans, anything else that the city needs to help accessorize the courts.
Time.
Okay. And we'll provide free lessons for everybody that wants to come out and learn the game, and paddles and balls.
Thank you. No clapping. Thank you. Anyone else?
Marlene Barger, 760 Sunset Point Drive. Just want to make a couple of points. In early 2023, the cost of the 8 pickleball courts at that time was $408,000, with the town kicking in $78,000. Then it was determined to pave the waterfront park. That cost came in at $299,000, $274,000. Now we're up to $700,000. We went from $78,000 from the town to $200,000. Now we're up to $250,000 from the town. This is taxpayers in the town. The problem that I have, there is no business plan whatsoever. And if you look at it, who's going to maintain it? If you look at the cost for the pickleball, just maintaining some hardware replacements could be anywhere from $5,200 to $8,400, $5,200 to $8,400 a year. Plus 5 years, 8 courts, $9,000 each, $72,000. Lighting, we haven't even talked about what that's going to cost. In the bid that came in, there were several things that were missing. Permitting in there is not even specified. It's just a rough estimate. The other thing that was in the ITB was it was 10-foot fences on the front and back side. There's no estimate anywhere in that. So right now, you're talking $250,000. By the time you cost everything out that's missing, you're going to be up to $300,000. All the people in here, how many of you live in the town of Lake Placid? Please stand. Inside the city limits. Not Lake Placid, Greater Lake Placid, but in the city limits. We turned in several years ago 501 signatures of people who were opposed to it. There were 2 online organizations. In that was 250 and 110,000. So we already outnumbered them in terms of the people who are opposed to this. Where's the business plan for the pickleball court?
Charlie, come on up.
Good evening. Thank you. Charlie Wilson for the record, 763 Sunset Point Drive. I appreciate Mr. Sapp's motion. I think that's the most prudent at the time constraint. Part of the reason why we're here right now is people that have...
Let's address the council, please.
Okay, I can speak to the reasons why. I'm addressing the council is to certain people, a minority, 5 people, 6 people that come to this meeting and are in opposition to it. We've had this room filled many, many times, sat through the meetings, and as far as the clapping and everything, I sat at the dais too, just for your information, and your group, and you part of them, all clapping during the wastewater discussions. So just for that clarification, I find it kind of rich. But getting to this point, we're at this point because of a lot of different reasons, not any specific reasons, but a lot of people behind the scenes trying to kill it. And I'm not going to get into all that. That's past history. We can't do anything about it. We've got a big investment here. We've got people that have come to these meetings, and we've been here at 10, 11 o'clock at night and had people leaving as a result of this. I appreciate everyone's efforts moving this forward. It's an asset to the community. It's been compared by some as, oh, well, we need playgrounds. There's not one person in this room that disagrees that there are other needs in recreation for this community, and none of us are against those. None of them. You've never heard anyone say anything in contrary to that. We're in agreement with you on that. We are tax-paying citizens, too. It is not just the residents of Lake Placid, although there's a lot represented here. It's the greater Lake Placid area. If you add the match up with the additional costs, we're at 33% of the match. Most municipalities for RPAC and these other municipalities don't even start till 50%, so we're still under the match. And I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad this is a podium for short people, adjustable hair. My name is Stephanie McGathy. I am a local 50-plus year resident, born and raised here. I have a business here in Highlands County, service a lot of folks in the room. Also, somebody that has a home right here in Lake Placid, Florida.
Could you give us your address, please, for the record?
Yes,
Thank you.
physical address is 2223 Oak Beach Boulevard. My property is on Kumquat, for the record. Very passionate about pickleball, but because pickleball has brought generations of family members together, it's a sport that 25 of my family members get together and we can play together. Not many things can bring a family together like that. Somebody mentioned a business plan. What's the business plan? I think something that's overlooked here regarding business plan is when folks like us get together and we go to Charlie Brown. Right now in the evening, young people are there, we can't get a court. On the weekends, we go and we play, and when we're done, we go and patronize the businesses that are in the surrounding area. We also participate in tournaments, which raises money for social organizations, and then we also patronize other financial or business organizations in town. So not only is it something that adds to the community for physical fitness, for social clubs, but it is also something that brings people together. West Palm Beach, folks from the coast come to these courts in Highlands County and Charlie Brown and say, what an amazing neighborhood you have, what nice people you have. And they are coming here looking for real estate in our area because of how nice our community is. So there is a lot of domino money that follows pickleball.
Chet Heath, 588 Sunset Point Drive, Lake Placid. And I do live in the town, unlike the last speaker. If we can't have specific performance, what is the point of contracts at all? We just leave it open. Have people come in here, they can give us a figure of whatever they want. We can't do business this way. And we have a lot of expenses that are not accounted for in this town. We have a police station to finish. We've got a fire station that will come to the county. But we have a lot of work ahead of us. I think you're taking a big risk. Thank you.
Sheila, I think Sheila's been waiting.
Sheila Byatt, 146 Brentwood Drive, North, Lake Placid. I've sat here tonight, and I really have to say I'm appalled at what goes on. You know, you've inherited a problem that was poorly done in the very beginning. I've listened to the administrator tonight, I've listened to the attorney, and you've been warned about this. And yet you still want to go ahead and expend money that you really don't have. I mean, I think you need to go back and revisit. You're looking at a contractor that's an iffy contractor. It's true what Council Joy Eberhardt said. A contractor is going to make up whatever losses in change orders. It's a known fact. I think you absolutely need to get your act together and listen to the administrator and the attorney. I truly, it's embarrassing to sit here and listen to this problem with you. Thank you.
Yeah, Rose.
Before I begin, I would like to hand these out to each of the members
Can you
on council.
pull the microphone down?
Okay, my name is Rosemary Heath. I live at 588 Sunset Point Drive in Lake Placid in the city. Right now I'm handing you sheets from the RPAC grant. We went to the commissioners meeting and you all asked for, and I don't have my papers, a request direction to amend the interlocal agreement. Why can't we go back to them and ask them for the $299 and whatever cents it is to go towards the roads that makes the town park safe? Oh my gosh, I don't have anything. They, talk about the potholes, the pedestrians. They all need to be safe in that park. The turnaround is a safety issue as well. I don't understand why we can go around and say to the commissioners, we want this money for pickleball. If we can't use it for pickleball, why can't we use it for the safety of the residents in this town, the people that use the park, the people that have the cars and the trailers, and the children, and even the adults. You need a driveway, you need pavement on that road. And my other question, too, is I'm disappointed in the council. You are supposed to represent the people that live in Lake Placid. Those are your constituents. These are the people that voted for you. Have you gone to speak to any of them? I went to 500 houses or more. No, I went to more than 500 houses. I spoke to at least 500 people. They want family activities. They want a place to go with their 5 generations or 4 generations of people. They want their grandparents there, their great-grandparents there, their parents there, their children's there, their children's children there. They all want to come together. You all can't get together on a pickleball court, but you can get together and sit in the park at Lake June Park. But you can't if you put those pickleball courts there. You're so unfair, and you're unfair to the people that voted for you. How can you do this?
Rose, time. Thank you.
Can I have one of my husband's minutes?
Rose, time.
That's
Thank you.
It's not fair to the residents. And I hope that people that voted for you this time won't vote for you next time.
Was the gentleman in the blue shirt who stood up, did he want to? Did you want? Thank you.
J.R. Varela, 27 Lakeside Trail.
You might want to pull that back up a little higher now.
Oh,
there we go.
I've been coming to the meetings and everybody's been fighting back and forth for numerous years, A question was brought up earlier, show of hands of people that live in the actual town of Lake Placid. I do not live in Lake Placid in the actual time. I'm considered Leisure Lakes. But although I live there, my taxes are spent in Lake Placid. Most of us here may not live in the actual town of Lake Placid, but we do support the Lake Placid economy by patronizing the businesses in the town. So if the town of Lake Placid does not have the money to proceed in this project, it's understandable. But they've spent some funds and it's been wasted and time has been wasted. For your town members or your people who live in your town, make a decision, right or wrong, get the ball over with and move on. Like I said, there's a lot of us here, we love pickleball. It is a social activity, physical. Myself, I've lost over 30 pounds in 9 months of playing pickleball. It's a health issue too, you know? Make a decision, right or wrong. And we do spend money in the town of Lake Placid. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Linskog. I live at 2628 Oak Beach Boulevard. I know I don't live in the town of Lake Placid, but I spend our family spends most of our time and money and resources here. That being said, two things. Dana didn't get an opportunity to present a figure of what we believe that usage of the courts would be once built. And we believe conservatively that at least 400 people over the course of a week will use those courts once they get built and established. And then over time, that growth is going to be bigger. People are traveling all the way up to Sebring to play pickleball, particularly in the evening, including young people, when they can be playing down here. And that's why you want to build the courts and get lights here. Secondly, reference a provision in the bid document on section number 10 there, that $499,000 penalty, where'd that come from? I'd like to know how a $499,000 penalty for a project that might be $600,000, $700,000 got in there, and if you don't think that doesn't scare a few small businesses that would bid on a project like this away?
So let me respond. That's the loss of the grant, $200,000 from FERDAP, $299,000, $274,000 from RPAC. So if this project isn't completed in time, that's the money that we won't get reimbursed. And just to clarify, and I think people know that, the town has to pay the whole 700, whatever it's going to be, 711, 743 upfront at first, and we have to go through the motions and the requirements to submit to the different agencies in order to get reimbursement for those funds.
So that's a protection for the town.
Absolutely.
In order to, understood, okay, but I believe that because of the short time frame that you require here, scaring away a lot of your bidders.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I don't live in Lake Placid. I live in Sebring, but I started playing pickleball in January.
Can you give us your name and address for the
Jacinto
record?
Paez, 7300 Coleridge Road, Sebring. I started in January, and I was afraid to play because I didn't know how I was going to be accepted. And when I show up to the courts, anywhere I went, these people, open arms, accept you, help you, give you balls, teach your family. And by the way, I've seen big families show up to pickleball courts and fill it up. One of them's here. And I've seen families show up to pickleball courts from 12 to mom and dad and 3 brothers show up and play. And it's a great group of people that will find you on the road close to where they're going to build the courts at, and help you change your tire, make sure you have water. And those are the kind of people you're going to bring to the courts around that community. And it's all about the community at the end. Thank you.
Hi, Jennifer Kukis, 10 Meadow Lake Drive, Lake Placid. I appreciate Councilman Sapp's motion and Councilman Royce's recognition of the time, significant time and resources that have gone into getting this project to this point. It would be a shame for Lake Placid to waste all of the match money that is out there to make this happen to benefit both the residents of Lake Placid and the greater Lake Placid community. Many points have been made about the fact that only a certain number of folks here live in the town, but my understanding is that only 33% of these funds are coming from the town resources anyway. The rest are from county and state resources, and of course, we all pay county and state taxes. I am a pickleball player. My husband is a pickleball player. My daughter, who lives a stone's throw from here on Lake Blue, is a pickleball player, and we all have to trek up to Charlie Brown Park to play there. And of course, as someone else mentioned, while we are there, we do spend money in Sebring as well, and I would much rather stay here in my town and be able to play here. I was a Town of Lake Placid Recreation committee member for 4 years. So again, I understand the significant time that has gone into this. This is a huge feat to get it to this point, and I would hate to see it wasted. So thank you for your commitment to trying to move it forward.
Hello, my name is Josephine Comley at 607 Sunset Point Drive in Lake Placid. I find 3 years ago we're still at the same place. Going on, the amount of Lake Placid taxpayer money involved in this project is $143,000 plus the $90,000 already spent, and about $17,500 in interest on the $500,000 grant money that we do not get it until the project is complete and all paperwork is submitted and approved, which most people don't realize. Lake Placid has to put up the entire amount and just hope whatever contractor, general contractor, that they are in compliance or we do not get paid. This comes to about $250,500, not including any change orders or the additional traffic study that is being required. This also does not include any money for maintenance, electricity, for lighting, or additional liability insurance that may be required for courts. Now, one of the things that I see that people are forgetting, like money grows on trees in Lake Placid, keep in mind that 23.8% of the people in the town of Lake Placid live below the poverty level. Obviously, some people will pay more and some less depending on their assessed value of their home. So I'm just asking the council, and by the way, Mayor Charles, I've never heard of a mayor working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and get the disrespect that you get. It is pitiful. You people ought to get together and have a discussion. Thank you.
Jack Comley, 607 Sunset Point Drive, Lake Placid. I just want to make sure that if you go ahead with the contacting Legacy Sports to try and negotiate with them to see if you can get their price down to $400,000 or $410,000, that you make sure that all the information that was missing from their bid is provided, including the bid bonds, the various things that they didn't fill out, the thing about the notary republic thing, and also my understanding is that they didn't specify all the materials that they were using on the project. So we want to make sure that we're comparing their bid with what the specifications were. In other words, if they came in cheaper than anybody else could do, obviously they're cutting costs someplace. Maybe they're a lot more efficient than all the other contractors. I don't know. Now, Legacy Sports supposedly has, from what I saw on the internet, they have offices in about 25 or so states, so they're not a small company, right? That means that they should have been able to fill out all these bid documents properly. There has to be a reason why they didn't. Thank you.
Anyone else? Going once? No, you've already came up. No, sorry. I'm sorry. Anybody else who hasn't spoke? Who's our RPAC rep? Carolyn Morrison. Can you come up and tell me your name and address for the record, please, though? Just want to document this.
Hi, my name is Kathy Rigo. I live in Sebring, Florida, 238 Loon Avenue. I have been playing pickleball for 3 years and just absolutely love it. All my friends are now pickleball players. I grab my family members and everybody. Who is this person?
It's Carolyn Morrison. She's not here tonight.
Oh, and what was the other question I needed to ask? Who is she?
Who is Carolyn Morrison?
Mm-hmm.
She's our RPAC representative. She's a Lake Placid resident.
I like
Yeah, she'd volunteered for, when we had openings, she had volunteered for that position.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right.
Thank you.
Well, I want to also say that, although we love our Lake Placid friends that come and visit us at Charlie Brown every morning and every evening, it would be nice to be able to come to Lake Placid and eat at your restaurants and your businesses. So, anything else?
Sir.
My name is Pat McAllister, and we're celebrating tonight. We're moving into 3600.
Address, please. Your address. We need your address for the record.
I was giving it to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Tonight we're moving into 3600 Manor Drive in Sebring.
Oh.
And I'll keep this short, but we are moving from Naples. My wife and I'm a pickleball instructor, and my wife and I owned and operated Oasis Indoor Pickleball for several years. We had over 300 students and members, so I have a firsthand experience of what the power of pickleball. We learned about Sebring and Lake Placid because we came here to do kids camps at the youth camp on Lake Placid for several years. And we just fell in love with the area. We fell in love with people. We fell in love, and we learned that this is a thriving pickleball community. So tonight we celebrate. We move into our new home, and we will be doing all of our shopping at Publix and at Aldi, and we'll be bringing a lot of revenue to this town. Already I've had several students come here and spend the weekend with us, so people are talking about moving here. Pickleball is an amazing thing, and it will bring revenue. It will bring more good people to an already amazing town. And before I go, I just want to say thank you, because this is a thankless job, and you guys are great, and I hope you'll make this happen.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to close off the public record side. We'll bring it back to the dais, and we'll please take the roll.
Council, if I may, it doesn't change anything substantively, but I was doing some research here through Lexis. Ironically, if we go back to the original bidder, and we ask that original bidder to accept the 610, or we're going out, essentially creates some type of, what the courts find a competitive nature. It doesn't allow the other bidders. It sends signals. There's a multitude of issues. What the recommendation is to reject the bids, go out to rebid, keep the same timeline, although the statute does talk about more of a timeline of the price of this nature. At least we notify all bidders, Legacy included, the 13 that showed up specifically, because we avoid the standing issue. and go out generally for the days allotted. That would be the recommendation. It would be cleaner that way, because essentially you're forcing somebody who's already bid, the market didn't bear that, you're forcing them down in their price. So it seems to me option 4 is probably the cleaner option. If I read that right, I have to reread it. But
No, not option 4, I think 2, right?
2?
Four,
Okay.
2 is reject it, but go back out to bid.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I think you're
Yeah,
saying.
that's essentially it. Just looking at this a little cleaner, we end up in the same place. I just think it starts cleaner probably on that Monday, or what's today, Tuesday. Immediately go out, go ahead and start advertising and rebid. You reject, you rebid, you haven't capped the budget. Now you're going to get the lowest, most responsible bidder. Legacy can resubmit. They already have their bid documents tooled up. They have this discussion. Everybody does. They can clean up what they need to do and just resubmit. That would be the cleanest legal way right now. We're on the edge with the timeline, by the way, but I would like to at least get that part done.
I rescind my motion,
I rescind my second.
and I will change it to just that. Let's reject Legacy's bid and rebid again with the dates we specified before in the previous motion.
And I will second that.
The dates and the terms.
In the terms,
Right.
yes, of course.
Okay, we have a revised motion and a second. Any other comments from the dais? I'm going to keep it at the dais and call for a vote.
Councilmember Sapp?
Yes.
Councilmember Hayes?
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt? No. Councilmember Royce?
Yes.
Motion passes. Okay, at this point, we're finished with the agenda. I'm just going to kind of go around. Brandon, welcome. How's things going over at the plant? Thumbs up? 2 thumbs up? Is that 2 thumbs up? 2 thumbs up. Thank you for everything. We'll start down on this side. Councilmember. I guess we'll wait for the...
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'm actually going to have a couple of things, and if you don't mind I'm going to ask you to consider doing several things in the coming month, but
Yeah.
you want to give it 30 seconds?
Yeah, why don't we give it a few seconds here for it to clean out.
They need to hold it down. That's like,
Yeah. Hey, where's my kit? Let me see. Hey, Brandon. Brandon, can you just shut the back door so we can continue this meeting, please? Oh, Marlene's got it.
That's so disrespectful. It's no worse than the sewer people every hour fighting us. That was unbelievably bad. This is nothing compared to that. I still have PSD from TSU. To even speak it, it's just like unbelievable.
Okay.
Yes, Madam Mayor.
Recess over.
I'll try to be brief. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Frank Youngman on his election to be county commissioner. That'll be representing our district, so congratulations to Frank. I would like, Madam Mayor, for you to consider doing several things in the coming months. I would hope that we would create a resolution and ask Commissioner Tuck to come before us in the coming month or so and thank her for her service, not only in the county commission, but, for the town of Lake Placid, and that we properly, appropriately thank her for her service to our community. I've had a conversation, Mr. Youngman. I would hope we'd also formally ask Mr. Youngman to come and share whatever thoughts he may have sometime in the future. I think we ought to also ask the county, whether it's the county administrator or Chief Deputy Fitch, to give us an update on where things stand with the firehouse and EMS station. There's a few complicating factors that are going on, but I think it's important for all of us sometime in the next month or so to understand where that's going. Number 2, we talked in our last meeting about FDOT and the vegetation or beautification project. I had submitted some ideas that were obviously provided to me by Mr. Harris, And we talked about that, presented to staff. I think we got some responses from them. I think we do need to go a step further, and I would ask you to consider that maybe we should have a resolution along the lines of that document that we then send to the district secretary. In other words, we go beyond just the staff we've been dealing with and make our concerns known to the district secretary about the beautification project. And finally, at least I would hope that at some stage we could get an update on the tower. I was not at the meeting. I understand that you were. I see things on social media. In my opinion, it seems like there's a charm or PR campaign going on, and I think that we just need to make sure that we as council members understand where we at. I get calls saying, hey, I heard you all waive the fines that they've accumulated. I said, I don't even know what level of fines, if any, have been accumulated so far, but we certainly haven't waived any. So I think if in the coming weeks or months we could have an update where we stand, what they can do legally, what they can't do legally. I understand our staff is already working on some of this. I have zero complaints. I just think we ought to probably, at some equal public setting, make sure the public understands what is and is not allowed within the municipality.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, as we go down, we'll see if any of that can be addressed by the town attorney myself. Councilmember Hayes.
I just want to go on record saying that I do appreciate the amount of time that you spend in the office. I spend a lot of time at the golf course too, and I drive by and your car is always at the office.
Oh, I'm hiding it in the back now.
You may not be there in dark 30 when I go in the morning, but you are certainly there and working, and we do appreciate the full-time mayor that we have.
Councilmember Sapp. Good. Councilmember Eberhardt.
Okay, pretty much in keeping with all the things to be updated, I had always asked for a rolling list on the agendas that of all the things that are in action are old business, so we can keep in front of us. And then on a happier note, people say there's nothing to do around here. I happen to be on not the Tourist Development Committee, but kind of a side group. They've organized the first annual garden week, and it's not just gardens, it's anything floral related. For example, one restaurant or one place is having paint your own thingamajigger, and then they'll have a garden-themed luncheon after it. But anyway, Lake Placid has tropical wineries in it, Journal Plaza. There's an airboat tour beyond the garden, they're calling it. The new place on Interlake, the Creative Co-op, Creative Cooperative is participating. So if there's a special, and there's always a put-off when it says visit sebring.com, but this group is comprised of Avon Park, Lake Placid, and Sebring, and we all have gotten to work together. I know the logo is irritating to everybody, but we're working together. So if you want to see all of that, I think there are 50 or so things going on. So go to visitsebring.com/garden-week. And for the first year, it's pretty good.
And so one thing I think everybody knows, but for those of you who don't, is Eva's going to be retiring the first of the year. So they'd see that big smile on her face with her brand new big motor coach traveling around the United States, putting a different license, a different state on her sticker. So you're going to see in the next couple of days a job description go out, because our hope is to get somebody on board by November so we can have a couple months transition. So I just wanted to make sure that when you see that posting, we all know it's to support Eva.
January 15th.
January, right, because I said nobody retires the end of the year. Can you at least stay until mid-January? So we're targeting January 15th. Okay, Chief, anything from your end? Mr. Attorney? The comment from Councilmember Royce was to get an update on the tower. He, sees a lot of things going on in that, and are we at the point we can do any update, or do we want to do it at a different meeting? Yeah, I can, sure. So it'll kind of be a joint effort, if that's okay, between all of us. I'm going to say, I won't get my dates exactly straight. It's probably about a month ago. I set up a meeting, Chief and I did, with the owner of the tower over at the tower property. And he brought along Greg Carlson, who, as you know, is listing the property. And the intent in that meeting was look at these buildings and what are you going to do to comply with the code violations. Rotting wood was hanging down, gutters were hanging down, the roof is caved in, a lot of it's ongoing problems of that. And so we were probably out in the 95-degree humidity for longer than he wanted, but it was, what are we going to do? So what we decided at that point, because one of the comments was, well, there's certain things I can't comply with, like the window's busted, I put plywood over it, and within so many days I'm supposed to put a window back, but over time it's going to be demolished. And I said, okay, how about if we write up all the code violations that we see, we will get them to you, and you will tell us what you can do and what you can't do and why. And then it would come back to council on what would be an acceptable exception. For example, plywood over a window is probably an acceptable, but I can't make that decision. That would be a council decision. So Justin, our code violation officer, completed that. I sent out a letter to him 3 weeks ago and said, here's all the things. You've got 2 weeks. Please respond 2 weeks. And he responded at the 2-week mark, and I need 1 to 2 more weeks. And so at that point, we started seeing a lot of the images going up, like the town's logo. And our town attorney sent a cease and desist on the town logo, because that's our logo and you haven't been given permission to use it, of which he didn't know, and he took that one down. I replied to his give me 1 to 2 weeks and said, well, I'll give you 1 week. And in the meantime, the fence, we added some more things that we had seen since before. And so you have 1 week and you need to comply. In the meantime, Justin has been working with him, and now there's that gigantic TV screen up there that it's a billboard, it's an electronic billboard, it's a sign, it hasn't been permitted. And because of the size of it and how it is, it probably needs some engineering and some other approvals, along with building and zoning. And so we've now, responded to him on that. I think Justin has issued an actual code violation, right?
Yeah,
so you
fact,
go ahead and take.
Yeah, in fact, and that's where we are now, is with the alleged unsafe condition. What we have is a structure on the tower that we don't know what it is. Code enforcement issued an actual notice of violation. The owner has never been cited for notice of violation in the last 20 years. All contact has been through courtesy notices. Clean up, fix up, minor repairs. This particular issue and the nature of it, and the chief has photographs of this, that it's being held with some type of strapping system on those concrete. If you take a picture of that and you look at it with pulleys of some sorts, and that could probably be pulled up here tonight. What code enforcement has asked the owner to do was remove the unsafe sign immediately. That was a week ago. That hasn't been done. Also, site enforcement needs a sign permit would be required, so at least come in and provide that. Or at least provide some engineered specs that it was put up and it's engineered properly. I mean, you have a sail issue, you have weight loads on the tower, you have strapping, that you would just buckle down with a shipping container. That's the only action we've taken so far. Code enforcement now has the alternative to go ahead and cite this, move this to the magistrate hearing and have a hearing on this, if the town's correct, if we're correct, and also to seek injunctive relief. The question for the council tonight, and I believe the mayor is going to come up with this, is if what we know is unsafe enough and the owner has not removed this for 1 week now, tomorrow will be Friday, will council authorize the town attorney to go ahead and seek injunctive relief, basically an order from circuit court to remove that sign or at least provide engineered specs that that sign is safe for the public. That's where we are. We're in storm season. This is concerning. It is concerning. I don't understand why we don't have these drawings. I don't understand why a permit wasn't pulled or any of that stuff. This other stuff's minor and can be taken care of.
Well, Madam Mayor, thank you for the report. I mean, I presumed that this type of action was already taking place. I think I just wanted it in the public sphere because obviously there is a very public relations campaign going on by the owner, or it appears to me that there is. So I wanted to make sure that when people call or ask me about it, I know how to respond. So I appreciate all your all's efforts.
Are you looking for a motion to proceed, Mr. Dunn?
Council, we would need that, and I would recommend that we would get a motion to proceed with all due diligence to bring this property into compliance, if that includes injunctive relief and file an action. That is not my first choice. I think we could draft those documents up and have them ready to file and provide them to him or his counsel, and hopefully he would comply. That's all we're asking him to do. It may not be a major issue, but when I saw the photographs myself, and you can go outside and take a picture and zoom it up, what appears to be strapping that you would purchase at Home Depot, and it may consider the weight load. It may not be a lot of weight, there is some scaffolding, but when you consider wind loads and the concrete abrasion on the strap and things of that nature, there's a concern on our part.
Well, that is so noted. Plus, we have a sign ordinance that does not allow any of that. I mean, case in point, the American Legion sign. We had all kinds of problems and consternation with that sign. So I think in fairness to them, we need that sign to, what you said a moment ago about making some action so they would immediately take it down for safety reasons, and then we can go about the proper permitting and everything for the sign. But I would be very concerned about getting it down right away, because they tell me there's this system in the Gulf now, or in the Caribbean now, that, you know, it can come up in a moment's notice. So I would make a motion for the attorney to proceed in that regard.
And to move it towards the magistrate as well for the other matters.
Yes.
Can't you do that on your own without us? You should be able to do that whenever you want to. Why do we need to get involved in that? If there's all kinds of
I believe the charter, we need authorization to file any type of civil action.
Particularly for that? Good.
Any type of civil action, because it would be in circuit court. You don't want to read in the paper that the town of Lake Placid just sued somebody and not have notice of that.
Oh, we trust you.
Well.
So is that a second? Is that a second?
I'll second that, yes. That's why I was wanting to find out if we can get you.
And Chief, you can forward them the picture that shows, when you zoom on it, the straps that are going around concrete, you know.
And to be clear for the public, this is not about, well, the sign's about the tower now, but all of this action before is about the surrounding properties, the minimum housing, the nuisances, and so forth. And that has been cleaned up, and Justin has been working with him. There's still some more areas. The town can work with people on time limits and help people out, and let's work on that. But when you create an issue of this nature and not at least be responsive and then start complaining on other folks violating the code instead of taking care of your own house, that becomes a challenge for government.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any other comments? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, bring it back. Take the vote. Eva, please.
Can I have clarification on the motion? I didn't quite.
It was a long one.
I believe the motion is to authorize the town attorney to take all actions necessary to bring the property in compliance as to the safety measure. Furthermore, to authorize code enforcement to move the case forward to the magistrate process for compliance with zoning.
Thank you, Mr.
Well
Durham. You
stated,
made me
Nell.
look good there.
Yes.
Can you take the roll?
Mayor Hayes, I'm sorry, Councilmember Hayes,
Yes.
Councilmember Sapp,
Yes.
Councilmember Eberhardt,
Yes.
Councilmember Royce.
Yes.
Motion passes, thank you. And thank you for asking that question that we can brief. Seeing no other things before council, it's 8:05. I call this meeting adjourned.